Unconscious biases. We all have unconscious biases. A bias is a tendency to believe that one group's race, culture, ideas, or beliefs are better than others. It's important that home health aides understand the impact of unconscious biases as they relate to our behavior and interactions with others. These include our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. We're not aware of our unconscious biases, but they drive our behaviors towards others. They influence our judgments about and the decisions we make. They impact our ability to provide culturally competent care if we're not actively working to manage them. Here are some examples of biases. Affinity bias, where we connect with others who share similar interests, experiences, and backgrounds. Confirmation bias, where we draw conclusions about situations of a person based on your beliefs and prejudices. Attribution bias, where you judge a person's behavior based on prior interactions you've had with them. The halo effect, where you place another person on a pedestal after learning something impressive about them. Or alternatively, the horns effect, where you view another person negatively after learning something unpleasant about them. Gender bias, where you prefer one gender over another. Ageism, where you have negative feelings about another person based on their age. Or the name bias, where you judge and prefer people with certain types of names, typically names that are of English, European origin. Sometimes the language we use promotes a bias, even if it's unintentional. As a home health aide, you will work with many different people, and it's important to understand how your language can exclude and hurt your clients. Language can be gender biased, like greeting people with a "hey guys" is a male bias. It can be age biased, referring to a new graduate as a kid gives the impression that you consider them a child. It can be racially biased. Referring to a meeting as a powwow is offensive to Indigenous people and undermines the cultural and spiritual significance of a powwow. Think about the words you use every day and think about how they might affect other people. Some examples are saying "you guys" instead of "everyone," "all of you," or "team." Instead of saying "the kid," instead use "the young person." Instead of saying "oh man" or "oh brother," instead use "wow" or "yikes." Instead of using manpower, use the word personnel or staff. Microaggressions are small and very common insults and indignities that are aimed at someone. These insults don't have to be intentional. In fact, they're often unintentional. They do, however, cause a harmful psychological impact on the person or group they're aimed at. They can be about race, income, religion, gender, immigration status, sexual orientation, or any other characteristics. Here are some examples of microaggressions. Saying, "your English is very good," to a person of color who was born and raised in the United States. Asking, "are you a nurse?" to a female doctor. Saying, "your people must be so proud of you," to somebody with an accent. Or saying, "why don't you have a boyfriend?" to a self-identified lesbian. How do we manage unconscious biases? From a cultural perspective, the more we understand what is important to our colleagues, patients, and family members, everyone feels included and respected. We have to increase our self-awareness, manage our own behaviors, and increase our cultural awareness. How can we increase our self-awareness? One way is to use an implicit associations test. It's a 5-minute test that you can find online that will show you your biases on gender, religion, race, sexuality, and more. It's important to be aware that 75% of people who take the IAT end up showing a bias. There's some other activities you can do to examine your biases. For example, there's the father-son activity. And this is a scenario where a father and a son are involved in a horrible car accident, and the father dies on the scene. The son is brought to the hospital and is rushed to the operating room. When he arrives at the operating room, the surgeon takes one look at the child and then backs away from the table and says, "I can't perform this surgery. This is my son." Now, how can this be? This is because the surgeon was the son's mother. Another is a circle of trust activity. This activity involves listing 10 people that you consider to be part of your circle of trust in your life that are not family members. Now, examine this list. How many are people of color? How many are women? You may find when you're examining your list that most of these people are like you and come from the same background as you. How do we manage our behaviors? One way to look at your behaviors is to use what's called the Space 2 model of mindful inclusion. Slow down. Be mindful and considered in your responses to others. Take perspective. Actively imagining the thoughts and feelings of others. Asking yourself. Active self-questioning and challenging your assumptions. Cultural intelligence. Interpreting a person's behavior through their cultural lens. Exemplars. Identifying counter-stereotypical individuals. Expand. Form diverse friendships. How do you increase cultural awareness? Learn from others. Seek out friends and coworkers who come from various backgrounds. Invite them to lunch or over for dinner. Allow them to speak about their experiences and truly listen with an open heart. Understand history. In order to be more aware, we must learn an accurate historical context. Read books, watch documentaries, and listen to podcasts that teach you about different perspectives. Visit cultural institutions. Have a greater awareness of the rich cultures of others. Visit museums, art exhibits, and festivals.